Hey guys, it's Captain Harris. We had a nice, fun video planned today, but
This is not the video we plan to make right now.
We woke up to the news that Nicko has announced that tonight in Sao Paulo will be his last show with Iron Maiden.
Yeah, obviously we're going to get into it, but it's somewhat shocking, somewhat not, and we'll get into why, but you want to go over the announcement first?
Yeah, I'll read it off. So the statement from Nicko says, after much consideration, it's with both sorrow and joy that I announce my decision to take a step back from the grind of the extensive touring lifestyle. Today, Saturday, December 7th, Sao Paulo will be my final gig with Iron Maiden. I wish the band much success moving forward. I will, however, remain firmly part of the Iron Maiden family, working on a variety of projects my longtime managers Rod Smallwood and Andy Taylor have in mind for me. I'll also be working on a variety of different personal projects and focusing on my existing businesses and ventures, including the British drum company, Nicko McBrain's Drum One, Titanium Tart, and of course, Rock and Roll Ribs. What can I say? Touring with Maiden the last 42 years has been an incredible journey. To my devoted fan base, you made it all worthwhile, and I love you. Sorry.
Do you want me to finish?
Sure.
Oops. You made it.
It was like right there.
What can I say? Touring with Maiden the last 42 years has been an incredible journey to be devoted to my devoted fan base and made it all worthwhile. You made it all worthwhile, and I love you. To my devoted wife, Rebecca, you made it infinitely easier, and I love you. To my kids, Justin and Nicholas, thank you for understanding the absences, and I love you. To my friends that are always there for me, I love you. To my bandmates, you made it a dream come true, and I love you. I look into the future with much excitement and great hope. I'll be seeing you soon. May God bless you all, and of course, up the irons, Nicko. See, I hadn't seen this yet.
There was also more from Rod Smallwood.
Yeah, I mean, we'll go over Rod.
Sorry, I thought I could hold it together on this. No, but apparently not.
This is why it's important to do these videos. This isn't a fake channel.
No.
We love this band, and so we're wearing.
Yeah, this is the only one I've ever got, and I got it in Toronto, so it's like it means. This is my favorite Nicko thing I have, so I had to wear it.
So yeah, I mean, it's been it's 42 years, and it's one of those things that we've been speculating on for the last couple of years, ever since the stroke. We didn't know if he was gonna play at all, if that was gonna be it. But the fact that he stuck it out and did a final tour, it's not like he died. He just left the band. No, of course not.
But it's like, God, he's been in the band for so long. I mean, I've always said, as long as we've been seeing him, I can't believe how incredible it is that we can still see the same band that you could see back in, the Peace of Mind era. Like, that long ago, you were still seeing all the same guys, obviously, plus Yannick, but it's like you were still seeing that same band.
Cat's freaking out. Don't worry, we're freaking out too. Yeah, I mean, this is the biggest news we've had since Bruce rejoined the band, other than health scares through the years.
Yeah, obviously, Bruce having cancer was huge.
Bruce with cancer, Nicko with the stroke initially. Yeah. But this is like a big change.
It is. Well, I mean, it's genuinely like the end of an era.
We've had 25 years of this lineup. For younger fans like us, this is the first lineup change we've seen since being a fan of the band. We've never seen a different version of this band.
And since Nicko started, he's been there. He's never left. He was with them through the toughest years in the 90s. He was there for the reunion, everything.
Yeah, and we've been privileged enough to, spend more time around him than the average fan, and we can definitely tell you guys he is exactly how he's portrayed in the documentaries and everything. Nothing's covered up, nothing's scripted. He is maybe the greatest personality in heavy metal. Yeah. It's interesting that back when they announced the Future Past tour, I felt like it was kind of conclusive to their career, where this lineup has retread now everything from the classic era. The last thing that needed to be touched on was Somewhere in Time. And the fact that even after the stroke, they made sure they completed Somewhere in Time. And, I mean, he played Alexander the Great. The final tour with Nicko, they did Alexander the Great. If you don't think this is the greatest band that that's ever been. Like,
Yeah.
they did it. They're the greatest band ever. But we've all been speculating for the last 2 years, you know, ever since we first saw like the differences in his playing. The fact that they still managed to pull off songs like Caught Somewhere in Time and Alexander and Heaven Can Wait, like, it's amazing.
I feel bad that now in our set list speculation, it's all like, oh, well, will Nicko be able to do it if he's still with the band and stuff? Because, like, you know, we had kind of had it in our minds that this could be the last tour we see with him. You know, we had friends in Australia say that it looked like he was, like, really, you know, struggling with the jet lag and stuff. And it's the traveling lifestyle. Like, you know, he's never going to stop playing drums. Obviously, as stated, he'll keep going with Titanium Tart, which I'm obviously so grateful we live here and we're going to be able to continue to see him.
That's the silver lining, but that's just for us locally. The silver lining is that he is local, and I am assuming that there's probably going to be more events than there was in the past with him, because it's not like he can't play drums anymore.
No, I genuinely, like I said, they just said he seemed like really exhausted by the end of the shows in Australia, and I get it. Like,
it's Australia.
I mean, I've not been to that side of the globe, but like I still struggle with jet lag when we just go to places like Europe and stuff. I can't imagine for somebody who's 72 and working
post-stroke,
what that, you know, that does to him. And the fact that he went through with this tour is amazing in general.
And didn't step down for a single song for this entire tour.
And, you know, I'm sure they had backup in case he needed it, too. Like, I'm sure they had, you know, what if Joe Laz or somebody that knew the set list and would be ready to step in if need be. But it's the last show of the tour. He got through the whole thing, you know?
Yeah, and obviously we don't know if this was planned from the start or if he decided on this leg, like, there's no way I can do this again.
Yeah.
But this is why it feels somewhat conclusive with Future Past, is because they got to do the final world tour, like all the main markets: Australia, Japan, Europe. Cat.
It's okay. She'll make me feel better.
He got to see all those places again. He got to play one last time to all the fans, basically. Yeah. And I think he did a phenomenal job. Like, everyone knows, everyone sees it that like he's not performing like he did pre-stroke.
And that's completely understandable.
Totally understandable. But where it comes into speculating the future, it becomes difficult because, and I've already seen different opinions on this, where it's like, oh, well, this will end Maiden sooner. And I've seen opinions where, oh, this will add 5 years to them.
I think, personally, like, not to speculate on this stuff, one is, like, he just quit. But I do think that, genuinely, it would extend the lifespan of them. Because it's like, you know, I know that Steve has said in the past that, like, oh, if we don't have this lineup, like, we're done. But clearly, they're not. And Nicko has given his blessing for them to continue. He said that in the past. And, like, this is such a massive tour coming up. So, obviously, you know, they're going to do that. And they're going to do 2026. And I've had friends that said they've heard now that there's plans for 2028. And I wouldn't doubt it. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they wrote a new album. And
Nicko's on it.
Nicko could be involved. He could do, you know, he could come in for a week and record the drums, but just, like, not tour. And I can see him showing up to shows still. Kind of like a Glenn Tipton situation. Like, yeah, I think London Stadium next year, I think he'll be there. Whether it's for the encore, a couple of songs, whatever.
Even if he just walked out and gave a wave.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing. It's like saying goodbye fully to Nicko is too sad to even comprehend. And that's why I think they're kind of quelling our feelings with that announcement of just like, but he will still be around. Because that's important to us.
Well, how can you leave it? You know, 42 years of doing this. Like, how do you just stop?
Right. And it's not like he's just some quiet, like, irrelevant drummer in the back that nobody cares about. Like, he is like the heart of Iron Maiden.
And I think that it's the Somewhere on Tour program. I was reading through that when I got it, and he said something along the lines of, like, if I go, like, even a day without playing drums, I feel like I'm going crazy. So it's like, you know, he's not going to stop doing what he loves. I feel like all of these musicians, like, it's like Lemmy. They just go until they literally are just done.
Right. I mean, Lemmy,
in whatever way they can, whether that's touring with Iron Maiden, whether it's doing Titanium Tart, and, you know, whatever projects that he said Rod and Andy have for him.
Yeah. And obviously we don't know how Nicko feels about this personally. You know, I'm
probably
sure
very sad.
I'm sure it's
He said with joy and sadness.
Yeah,
Joy
it's both.
probably, getting to not have to go through the grind of being on the road, and sadness, obviously, because God, like when you do something for 42 years, that's your whole life.
Right. I mean, we can't understand as normal civilians what it's like to get up in front of
I haven't even been
thousands
alive
of people.
for like I've been alive like three quarters the amount of time he's been in Iron Maiden. So
Yeah, I mean, what an amazing run, and I don't even really consider it over. Like I don't consider it to be like, I don't think that tonight in Sao Paulo is the final time that Nicko plays with Iron Maiden.
no, I don't either. But it's obviously just like sad because like after the stroke, everybody, it's just like, it sucked that everybody was like speculating about like when he's leaving for so long. They're like, it's gonna come eventually, so why don't we just enjoy it while we still have him?
Yeah, and ultimately, people have been saying for the last couple of years, like, does Iron Maiden continue without Nicko McBrain? And obviously the answer is yes now.
Yeah.
But it was a hard thing to grapple with, because it's like, do you want this dynamic? Because it's not just like a band where, oh, I really like these songs, it's super metal. And do you have anything to say? No?
Just a little squeak.
It's not a band that like you just care about the music, you care about the guys. Yeah. You care about the dynamic.
Yeah.
It almost feels like a big group of friends, just like in our vlogs, we're a big group of friends traveling around and having fun. And
I feel
that
for the
special
band
thing.
too, because it's like that's like a member that they've traveled with for this long that's gone too. It's got to be sad for all of them.
It sure is.
The band, the crew, everything.
And I'm thinking like, it's compounding, because it's not like it's just the touring. I'm sure he also feels like I feel like Nicko knows that like if he continues into this next tour, it will be holding the rest of the guys back with set list choices, with songs. Because at the end of the day, like, I haven't said my full feelings, and most people haven't, but at the end of the day, I don't know how they're going to perform Hallowed Be Thy Name, Run to the Hills, Number of the Beast, all these.
Well, it's like we said in our setlist speculation, like when Logan's like, I think they'll play Power Slave, with the thought that Nicko was going to be there. It's like, well, I don't. No, they can't do certain songs.
No, it's like, saying goodbye to Where Eagles Dare and things like that. It's like the silver lining, if you can find one, is that the 5 guys up front that are still performing at still their highest level, they have access to their entire catalog still.
Yeah.
However, the opposite to a silver lining is that I do feel like Future Past is somewhat conclusive of their kind of broader career.
Well, it's just genuinely an end of an era.
It's the end of, in my opinion, the best era.
Yeah.
And, even if Nicko did continue, it would feel like moving past Future Past, like anything they do that's based on the past would be retreading again.
Yes.
And that's where Somewhere in Time was important. They needed to do that. They've done the early days. They've covered Power Slave, Seventh Son. Now that Somewhere in Time's done, going back and doing another Somewhere Back in Time, like, it's just not the same.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with like Nicko not being a part of the post Future Past career.
No,
because
and it's
it will
like,
be retreading.
I obviously completely understand, and I know he's not like gone for good. It's just like, you knew it was coming, and it's just sad.
Yeah, I mean, we've all kind of been emotionally prepping for it, and it for people that come across this video that like don't know us, they're just like, why are these people blubbing about a rock star? Like, he doesn't care about them. Well, it feels like he does. It feels like the band does care about people.
Well, it's not like he's some rock star asshole. Like, he's genuinely like just like a good guy. Like, just for example, 2018, when we had gone to England for the first... He's from England. I went for the first time to see Iron Maiden, and obviously we stopped in Drum 1 because they played in Manchester, and it's like, oh, well, obviously I want to see all the Maiden sites. You want to go to Cart and Horses, and, I'm going to go visit Drum 1, so we took a Uber out to the middle of this business park where Drum 1 is, and he ended up being there. It was the day before he was supposed to be there doing like a signing and stuff like that. But he was there. He was doing autographs. He was willing to take pictures and stuff. And
this is before like he was more familiar with us. Like,
Yeah.
we really hadn't met that much yet.
But we asked him if we could get a photo in front of the drum kit because it was a Somewhere in Time kit, right? At that point,
They had the Somewhere on Tour.
They've had
drum
different
set
kits in there, and I was like, "Oh, how long has this thing been sitting in storage for?" And he went on a 40-minute, like seriously, 40-minute talk about drums and how cymbals are made. Like just like we didn't say anything. He was just going on and on, like educating about drums. Like
he's obsessed with drums
just because he wanted to.
I mean, he was having us touch things and tap things and explaining how like reverberations work and how he mics things and how in the past they tried different mics that were in the drum kit or that were in the drums but he didn't like that, so he went back. And once you get him going, he cannot stop.
Right, and like we were genuinely, we're just fans. Like we don't know the guy or anything. We just asked a simple question. He was just like so like willing to talk to us for that long about like everything that he knew about drums and just was excited about it.
Yeah, he's just the most lovable guy, and with us watching him for almost 20 years, way before we ever met him or anything, it's like he has genuinely been a part of our lives.
Yep.
And
obviously we realize like we're not like friends or anything like that, and if I knew him, then we would have great conversations and stuff. It's just like you watch him on the documentaries and that, and it's just like he is a lovable character in Iron Maiden, and you can't help but love him as if you would love like a character on a television show. It's not like a parasocial thing. It's just like you can't help it.
Yeah. Well, do you want to go over the Rod announcement?
Okay, so a statement from Rod Smallwood. Nicko, we all love you too. Thank you for being an irrepressible force behind the drum kit for Maiden for 42 years and my friend for even longer. I speak on behalf of the band when I say we will miss you immensely. Ever since Rock in Rio in 1985, we have had a special relationship with Brazil, so to bow out of touring in front of 90,000 fans here in Sao Paulo over 2 nights is poetic, and you are deserving of all the accolades I am sure these marvelous fans will give you on this last show. Phantom look forward to many more years of working with you on the projects you mentioned, and I am sure we can find few more special ones around the Maiden family and FC. The band and I all have 1,000 great memories of the past 42 years, great gigs, copious platinum and gold discs and awards, love from the fans, and one beer too many on too many occasions. Such a bond is forever, and as Steve Harris says, Nicko is and always will be part of the Iron Maiden family. Rod, Andy, Steve, Bruce, Davey, Adrian, and Yannick. P.S. Maiden always get their man and already have chosen a new drummer, which will be announced very shortly.
Now, for people that don't know like how Maiden functions, they are very insular. Mm-hmm. They don't really reach out to the broader metal community. They're not going to have open auditions. They have their guy. We know who it's going to be, and if we're wrong, then I'll be shocked. But it'll be somebody in the family, and really the only speculating on that choice, because we know he can play exactly like Nicko. Like it will sound like peak Nicko. It's just like how much do they show of him? Like, is he going to be in the promo pictures, or do they kind of just keep him in the back?
Maybe they'll do what they did during COVID when they had to get like all the shots for Senjutsu, and they clearly just got pictures of them in their own homes and photoshopped them together. And they'll just have Nicko come in for all the... I don't know.
No, they can't have Nicko in the promos for a tour that he's not going to be on. But
it could be like Star Wars when the holograms come up.
They could have hologram Nicko.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, okay. But listen, just Nicko, thank you so much.
Yeah.
For all this time and the amazing drumming and putting your personality into this band. And we have Sooty here to represent.
Yeah, it's actually working on a commissioned Pharaoh trooper. A Pharaoh Sooty for somebody. So he's like halfway through getting done. He looks like somebody from like the Holy Grail right now, but I thought it would be fitting to have him in the video too.
So I mean, one of the reasons we made this is I know everybody feels a certain way about this announcement. It feels weird so you can feel all those feelings with us.
I know, and it's like I was like, I'm gonna hold it together. I'm gonna be fine. And
No,
of course,
I knew you weren't.
Of course, as soon as I start reading about like, oh, thank you to the fans, I'm just like, fuck.
No, like we're heavily invested in this band. They are a massive part of our lives and why we're even together in the first place. So, and again, like for us, we hope that Nicko will do more events in Florida and Rock and Roll Rib stuff and Titanium Tart stuff, because we will be at every single one.
Well, it's like, that's why it's like, I don't know why I'm crying, because it's like, I know he's not going away for good, but it just genuinely it is. It's an end of an era.
No, we're mourning the end of something that we've always known. And for older fans, that won't be relevant. But, you know, for older fans, you've dealt with tons of changes over the years. But for us, this is the first
but they've
one.
Still always had Nicko in a bit. Like, if you're a fan who's, you know, around the amount age that he's been in the band for that amount of time, he's always been there. Yep. So it's like, it's even probably even harder for them.
Yeah, it probably is harder for them. Well, yeah, I think we should wrap it up. I mean, the only thing to add is obviously now our last setlist speculation is obsolete. Yeah. So we might have to retread that.
Yeah, because I mean, like, I was obviously like trying to keep in mind, be positive. Like, we treated San Antonio like, you know, it does genuinely feel like he could step down. So I treated San Antonio like the last time I might get to see that full lineup. And God, what a show! They didn't make a single mistake.
No, it's brilliant.
So, like, great note for us to go out on with that lineup. But, you know, I was still trying to, like, keep positive and be like, well, I want to speculate in the chance that he is still in the band. And I don't want to be, like, unfair and be like, yeah, well, if he's not in band, then they'll definitely play Power Slave. Like, I wanted to stay positive, obviously. But, you know, it just feels like, you know, I culminated my set list around what I thought he could do, and now it's like, oh, there is other stuff on the table. So,
and it also makes me think that the Future Past set list itself was kind of culminated around what he could do. Like picks like The Prisoner and Can I Play with Madness, I think they were specifically picked because they can be played without his intricate fills.
Well, I mean, there was that interview with Nicko around the time that Ljubljana happened, where he said that Steve was like, oh, well, if you can't play Caught Somewhere in Time, then we just won't play. And he's like, well, you have to play. And, like, he was just thinking, like, my God, like, the band cares about me this much that they're willing to not play, like, an integral song to the set list just so I can be with them. Yeah.
So I do genuinely think this is Nicko's decision. I don't think he was pushed out or anything.
No way.
And he definitely has his full blessing to let the band continue as they're going, because they are still performing at an unbelievably high level. Yeah. And while we say goodbye to our era of the band, you know, I can't see the next part being like the next era. No. It just kind of ends.
It's just coasting.
It's coasting to the end now.
Obviously, I think it'll still be an outstanding tour next year. Like, I don't think it's just like, oh, they're just touring for the sake of touring like other bands do. Like, no. It just feels like, you know, it's not like an era. It's not going to be like an era like the others, where it's just going to be like, this is it, you know?
Well, it's like, I've always said that other bands, it feels like you're just kind of going to see their hits and then go home and say, hey, I checked it off. I saw this band. Well, Iron Maiden, even today, feels like they're still writing their story, and each album and each tour is special to their career. But with Nicko leaving now, it does I think that's what we're mourning. Is it kind of feels like it is the end of the career part. Well, it's the coasting part. Next.
Yeah, exactly. But obviously it's not going to be coasting like other bands do. Like They've said they're going to pull out deep cuts. They said it's going to be their most spectacular show to date, and I believe them. They never lie about that kind of stuff, and I know we're still going to be blown away next year. It's just, you know.
It just won't be the same.
It won't be quite the same.
But, you know.
Seeing Nicko come out after the show and do his little run across the stage and bow to everybody and wave goodbye.
Almost trip over the monitors every time. Anyway, Nicko, we love you. We wish you the best. Just stay healthy and stay happy, and we will see you as much as we can.
Obviously, for you guys on the channel, like, now I feel like, you know, this past Titanium Tart tour, I'm like, okay, we're just going to stick to the one show because we were kind of busy around that. Oh my god, I don't think I'm gonna miss a single Titanium Tart show from now on. If there's 5 in Florida, I think I'm gonna go to 5 Titanium Tart shows. And I'll vlog them all so you all can be involved too.
We'll force you to watch
yes,
them.
I have to get as much Nicko in my life as I can from here on out.
As everybody wants. So we'll bring it to you when we can.
Yes.
Yeah, so sorry for all the emotion. This wasn't the happiest thing to report on.
No, and I promise we legitimately had a fun video we were gonna film today, and then we get this news as I'm making breakfast, and I'm like, well, there goes the fun. So I'll try to film that sometime this week and get it out, and we'll be back to fun bullshit per
normal
usual.
times.
So say goodbye to Mrs. Kitty, and say goodbye to Sooty, and we love you, Nicko.
We love you, Nicko.
Thank you for everything, genuinely.
Yep, and thank you guys for watching. We love you guys too, and feel the feelings. You got to get it out.
Let us know your favorite Nicko memories, Nicko songs.
Give us all your Nicko stories.
Give us all your Nicko stories and favorite Nicko things down in the comments so we can all show him love together.
That's right.
We'll see you next time, guys.
And the guy standing a yard to 2 yards behind my drum was saying,